And joining me tonight, Girish Karnad, as I said, one of India's greatest playwrights, someone who's always defended Indian culture as well. And Mr. Karnad, you asked for your answer, and you've got many answers from different voices there in support of V.S. Naipaul. In that sense, do you regret how strong your critique actually was, or do you think it needed to be said at this time, given that it's the 20th anniversary of the Babri Masjid demolition as well?
I have waited 10 years to make that. 10 years. 10 years ago, when I was in London, I saw him on BBC. And he was talking to Nisha Pillai, the news reporter. And there I heard him say that, Muslims have been marauders. They have destroyed Indian culture. They have been the, vicious. Everything has gone once the Muslims, etc., in his normal fashion. But I was a government servant there. There was nothing I could do. I was, in fact, the Minister of Culture. And I said, one day I'll get an opportunity to express my opinion. Well, I've got it now. That's it.
Is the timing interesting? Because in the sense that V.S. Naipaul of today is much mellowed. He hasn't written on India for years now. His views may well have changed or not, but they're controversial views. We know he's anti-women, he's considered bigoted. In Patrick French's book, we know that he's beaten his wife as well. In that sense, many may not consider V.S. Naipaul a nice man to know, but they admire his writing. You admire his writing as well, but you wanted to critique his views as such.
Yes, you admire the writer. If the Bombay Lit Fest had said that we give him the Lifetime Achievement Award for writing novel, as a novelist, I would have nothing to say. They don't say that. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award for everything. Then it includes everything that he has said. You must surely not ignore what he has said. And I don't think, let me be fair to Naipaul, he has never disowned what he has written. And he has often said that his novels may disappear, but what he has written about India is much more valuable. To that extent, I think he is honest, at least. And those who say that we must ignore what he wrote on India and glorify, glamorize him for what he has written, the novels he has written, have not been honest.
Can you ignore, however, the impact of his writing? In that sense, a Lifetime Achievement Award honors his achievements in writing.
Yes.
Not necessarily the content of what he wrote, but how he wrote it, his views, his thoughts,
which
represent his version of history. He's not a historian in that sense.
But when he writes beautifully, and he gets his Nobel Prize, and when he gets read
for literature, he gets a Nobel Prize for literature.
Yes, but then after he gets the Nobel Prize, he says the Muslims have destroyed Indian culture. This was, when I was there in 2002. So he is putting the weight behind his statements against the Muslims. Whatever honor he may have got for whatever other reasons, he's a great writer. In any case, I'm not willing to make this distinction between the writer and the thinker. That's not fair. It's not fair to him. He has written it, he must bear the responsibility for it. That's it.
That's interesting. You're saying that's an artificial distinction in a sense, also because one of the key points that he's been making again and again about India and writing about it, it's not just about, when you talk about him being anti-Indian Muslims, he's anti so many things. Yeah. As somebody had written after he made his famous comments against women authors at the Hay Festival, he's anti half of the world. Why in that sense, V.S. Naipaul may be an unpleasant man to know. Why do you think it's so important to critique what he said about Indian Muslims?
No, I'm sure even what he said about women is objectionable. Certainly it is. But you can't have a machine gun fire, saying he attacks on so many fronts. The point is, we have a population that's vulnerable today. We have a candidate for a prime minister who has been accused of, murdering 3,000 innocent Muslims. And, that's the situation we're in. And in that situation, you have to stand up for that minority, because they are our compatriots. I mean, they're Indians. And whatever has been said, if it's now when he's being honored, surely you cannot be unaware of this development in our politics, with the people who are giving him. They should show some awareness of what he said about Muslims.
Is it fair to put him into what some of his supporters would say an artificial political context? You made the point also that he is being honoured in the city of Mumbai, which witnessed those riots after the Babri Masjid demolition. Is it fair to put V.S. Naipaul into that? He's not a political writer in that sense.
He has never been fair. He has never been fair to anyone. Why should I be fair to him?
Has he been fair to his craft? He's been fair to his craft, would I presume be his argument?
Yeah, but he's not been fair to Muslims. I mean, he's made statements without... all his statements against Muslims are just statements. Muslims have done this. Taj is this. Taj bleed. The Taj is covered with blood. This. There's never any evidence, there's never any argument. And usually when he goes to history, like as in the case of Vijayanagar, about which, where he says that Narayan couldn't respond to it, he didn't have the gumption to it. He's wrong. I mean, his history is wrong. He usually gets his history from the Orientalists. At the point the excerpt showed earlier, the whole idea that there was a pristine Hindu culture which was developing beautifully, and it was destroyed and distorted and destroyed by Muslims, really comes from the 18th and 19th century Indologists.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.